I feel like I'm doing God's work if people are having more orgasms. Hey, this is Leeza Mangaldas, and today I'm going to be talking about what it's like to be a woman on the internet while playing with some Play-Doh. So today we're going to be doing some clay modeling. As you can see, there's Play-Doh here in pretty much every color. A rolling pin, another little roller, some little cutouts, and there's some other little doodads here. I'm sure it's going to be so much fun because I don't think I've done this since I was a little kid, and I'm excited to do this again as an adult. Let's do this. When I started making this content, actually, I don't think the term sex positive was even like something I was familiar with, or it hadn't become the thing that it feels like it is now on social media. I'm so glad we're here though. But I was just, navigating my 20s as a young person, having my own first several experiences in this arena. And I felt there was such a lack of adequate information, resources. It shouldn't be this hard. So I thought, I'm gonna do something about it. And yeah, that was that. That's how it all began in 2017 on YouTube. I think people couldn't make sense of me. It would be like, madam, are you a doctor or are you a porn star? Or people couldn't figure out why I was talking about sex because they just think it's something no one should talk about, right? And I think over time it's become clearer to people that it's important to talk about this. People thought I was the weird girl who talks about sex, and now I've become the cool girl who talks about sex. My family has been so supportive. I feel really lucky because honestly it would be so much harder to do this if I didn't have my family's support. I think unfortunately for a lot of people who might want to talk about certain topics, the trolling can start at home. So I feel very lucky that my parents have never tried to come in my way. In fact, if my dad sometimes helps me script my content because my Hindi is not very strong, and my mom also always comments on my videos, watches every video. So I'm really grateful. First Time Sex was the title of the video, and it's just about a few things to keep in mind if you haven't had sex before or are thinking about having sex. And I think it was something a lot of young people are curious about. It was one of my first Hindi videos, actually. That's my problem. I can't remember now the first troll. I've had 50,000 trolls. Of course, it's triggering to many people to see a woman talk about sex and to talk about how pleasure is something women should, feel entitled to. I mean, it's unfortunate, but as a woman on the internet, as a queer person on the internet, as anyone who's not a cishet man on the internet, I think you do face a lot of harassment and judgment. I wish it didn't have to be like that. I wish we could aspire for a kinder world, and I do think men are capable of better. If you are a man watching, you are capable of better. When I first started making YouTube videos, I kind of thought, and that was 2017, that the internet is a free place, you can say whatever you like. But they demonetize content that has to do with sex and pleasure, even if it's educational. So that was a rude shock. Even on Instagram, there's lots of things that end up violating community guidelines if you're not careful, and they seem so arbitrary. I feel like I self-censor at this point. I don't say a lot of the things I'd want to because the content would be taken down. Think about this one. I have so many great people I've met online. Well, one of my favorite online friends is Aishwarya Subramaniam. Adhawarya, I just love her account. I learn so much from it every day. She is so just unafraid of saying what needs to be said. I wish I was more like that. I often get messages being like, I had my first orgasm because of something I learned from your video. And for me, I feel like I'm doing God's work if people are having more orgasms from watching my content. I was at an airport and this girl comes up to me and she's, Leeza! Oh my God, Leeza, it's you! I bought a vibrator because I saw some video where you said it changed your life, and it has changed my life too. It's like Aladdin ka chirag, you know, it was so cute. You were so enthusiastic, didn't care who was listening, and it was exactly how I felt when I bought my first one. So it was so wonderful to see this like unabashed acknowledgement when you just realize that you didn't even know that you didn't know that your body was capable of this much pleasure. That was her like vibe, you know. It was just wonderful. I try and go outdoors as much as I can. I feel like it's so nice to remind yourself there's a world out there. Do you know that saying, to a worm in horseradish, the whole world is horseradish? And I feel like social media can feel like that. So I like reminding myself that this isn't the whole world. The ability to remove the shame from the whole thing, you know? I feel like most of us, no matter your gender, no matter your sexual orientation, inherit so much sexual shame. And so it's hard to be free if you're burdened with shame. Many people think like sexual freedom is like promiscuity, like go have sex with whoever you want. And I mean, okay, but that's not really actual freedom, because how can you explore and enjoy and truly sort of feel empowered by explorations of your own sexuality and pleasure if there's any association still with shame or some sort of, you know, guilt or fear? So the absence of all of that for me would be freedom. I think you should use the block, restrict, all of those features without thinking twice. Because it's your space, you deserve to be able to make it a space you're safe and respected in. I think it's really important because you should protect your own mental health. I'm all for dissent and debate. Come disagree with me on my channel, but if you're there to just call me, you know, all day, then I'm just gonna block the word, you know. So that would be my advice. Do what you need to protect yourself.
Are you done?
I think so. I mean, I tried. So I made a vulva. I hope it doesn't break. Obviously, you know, not anatomically perfect, but you get the idea. I'm proud of it, my little Play-Doh vulva. And then I made a clitoris, because lots of people don't know that like the clitoris actually extends internally. The little purple thing, right, is what we think of as the clitoris normally, if we know what it is. They think it's like the P-shaped button at the top, but actually the P-shaped button is only the tip of the iceberg. It has all of this. The bulk of the clitoris is actually internal. I had fun. It was actually much harder than I thought to multitask. I think it's important to be women on the internet. Any gender marginalized by the patriarchy requires more space. I mean, we need to take space, so take that space. Maybe can someone Google vulva and just show me something? Needing to multitask a little. Needing.
Sex.
Who thought that would have me tongue-tied? Are you a woman on the internet? If you are, tell us all about it in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Vitamin Stree.